Hello everyone, my name is Eden. I am the CEO of the Alchemist Collective, where we strive to elevate your mundane and bring spirituality into your everyday life. Today I am going to be talking about something that's been weighing on my heart and on my mind very heavily lately, and that is false light as well as false darkness. All right, so when I say false light, what do I mean by that? So everyone, a lot of people tend to flock to the light as if it's some end-all be-all, some safe place. But what a lot of people actually fail to realize is that a lot of these things actually exist on a massive scale. So people's tendency is to think that the Abrahamic tradition is the only tradition that really holds validity, or that matters, or that is influential. That's not the case. What I'm getting is that it's really important to try to throw the dogma out of it, because at the end of the day, these deities appear across all of the different pantheons. These stories appear across many different cultures who may not have even had a contact with each other. What I'm getting out of this is that it's not necessarily a good versus evil. What it's about to be is a mass balancing of the scales to balance out the energy of this universe specifically. And I say this universe specifically because there is a multiverse out there. It's been confirmed. Yeah, multiverse is a thing. So this universe, this cycle for this universe is coming to an end, and what's going to happen is that these serpentine reptilian energies that they're not bad energies per se. Serpentine reptilian energies are the primordial energies. All right. They're the energies of the primordial predator, primordial wisdom. They're very primal and they have a lot of knowledge. And as somebody who works with dragons a lot in my own craft, I can say that they are very much so beings that are about balance. And that balance might not come in a way that we as humans are able to comprehend, because, you know, we're these 3D beings living in this 3D existence where we're only aware of what's going on, you know, in our own minds, in our own perception. But these beings have a higher perspective of everything. They have a much older perspective of everything. So while it's kind of like what they're saying, what's chaos, what's normal for the spider is chaos for the fly. All right. So what I'm getting is that a lot of people are waking up to these energies right now too, on both sides. There's a lot of old knowledge coming out to the surface now, being shared by other light workers. It's very important to keep an eye on who that information is coming from, though, because there are many agents of the false light out here. You know, people who will give you that love and light on the surface, but the core is rotten. And what that results in is them working you into this frenzied state that's almost like a mania. And what they do while you're in this vulnerable state is that they actually feed off of that frenzied, frantic energy, creating more of it, and it becomes contagious. So where the false darkness otherwise known as sludge darkness. I prefer to call it sludge. So that feeds off of your anger, your shame, your pain. Those are the energies that get you into a state of low and keep you low. But what the false light does is it tends to take you into a state of egotism and you know, thinking that you're so separate from others, so much better than others, when really, you know, we're all on the same playing field. We're all brothers and sisters. We need to help each other. Yeah, just be careful, guys. All right. It's also important to realize that things exist on a scale. I'm not sure if I've already said this or not, but things exist on a scale. So I'll take Lucifer as an example. A lot of people consider him to be, you know, this fallen angel who is out there to, you know, destroy everyone, out there to tempt man. What people don't realize about Lucifer is that he was cast out for fighting for our free will. All right. He was also fighting for the will of the angels. Yeah, Lucifer was fighting for the will of the angels. There was a point in time where our Father was very tyrannical. There was a point of time where we were not allowed to have our own opinions, our own goals, our own agendas. I mean, if you think about it, how fucked up is it that, you know, your father has a new child on the block and gives him free will, but you still have to be at the man's beck and call. Would you think it was right? So he rebelled and he was cast out, his rings whipped out, and his consciousness thrown into the abyss. But while he was in that darkness, Lucifer was able to find his own light. He was able to grow into a dark lord, essentially. If you read his energy, you will still see the flecks of light in his aura. And he's not completely lost, as some people like to say. He's not completely lost. Bit confused sometimes, sure, but who isn't? So, what my guys are telling you is to not be blinded by all that glitters. So there's a tendency for people to reject darkness completely in favor of lighter entities, lighter beings, and lighter states of mind. However, what people need to understand is that not everything exists on such a simple scale of good and evil. All right. Putting it in Abrahamic terms, yes, there's demons, which are evil, and there's angels, which are good. However, what a lot of people forget is that there's a lot of other things that exist on that scale, and not everything that is necessarily on the lighter side of the scale or of higher vibration is necessarily something that is beneficial for humans. I think it's very important to remember that at the end of the day, we need to also exist in this 3D world. And there are so many different entities out there that have such a higher level of perspective than us. And, you know, it just, there are entities out there that don't understand us, and that's okay. However, when we, I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. It's kind of like coming from here and like going through 3 different translations before it comes out to you, as I was trying to explain to someone the other day. But anyways, but yeah, just because something is on the higher vibrational scale of things does not necessarily mean that it's going to be beneficial for humanity as well. And it's also a bad idea to completely discard the darkness and disregard it, because there are valuable lessons there. They're hard lessons. They're not fun lessons to learn, but they're valuable lessons nonetheless. All right, but anyways, let me go ahead and pull some cards. I'm using the Sacred Mysteries Chakra Oracle deck. Yep. All right. All right. So we got perspective, preservation, sensitivity, and acceptance. All right. So what I'm getting off of this perspective card, so yeah, I'm getting that it's really important that everyone takes a moment to examine their own perspective and to really look at an issue from every angle. There may be something that you're missing here that is going to do well for you, and that is going to help propel you into further into deeper knowledge and further development. All right, and then we've got preservation here. So this is kind of going with what I said about false darkness and false light. So going deeper into that. So when I say false darkness, so a lot of people consider darkness to be demonic, darkness to be, you know, an undesirable force that is out to destroy everything. In some cases, this is true. However, darkness is also a universal force in itself, and it is absolutely necessary in order to have balance. So what I'm getting is that this balancing of the scales here is not necessarily meant to be a good trumps evil kind of thing. That's a very juvenile way of looking at it. What I'm getting is that this is universal balance, and this is really just meant to balance out the scales, reset Mother Earth so that she can exist in the way that she needs to exist. Interesting. You know, it's funny that I'm talking about balancing the earth and preservation and all of that. So I know that you guys are, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Vishnu, the preserver, but that's the deity that is on this card. But what I'm picking up here is the serpent energy here. So I know me personally, I work with a lot of dragons and serpents in my craft. And to me, dragons have always represented balance, order. But order in a sense that is not necessarily always grasped by humanity. All right. I'm getting that the world is going to return to water very soon. Very soon. Yeah, old primordial ways are coming back and people are being pushed to grow and to ascend. That's why the sensitivity card is here. There's a lot of people waking up right now, but the thing about it is that there's a lot of people waking up both ways. So now is the time to really do those grounding exercises, get your discernment up, and really tell what you're engaging with. All right. There, I don't know if you can really tell, but there's also a crocodile here. All right. So this is primal wisdom. This is primal knowledge. This is old, ancient knowledge that is coming through, that is being delivered to you. And it is up to you to determine where that is coming from ultimately. All right. And then we've got, like I said, the acceptance card. So something I didn't notice, I'm not sure if you can see, but in the background here, these eyes are falling asleep, dog. We also have the deer here. All right. So yeah, all this ancient knowledge is coming out. People are waking up everywhere, but it's not going to be for very long. People are going to fall back asleep. And it's something that we have to be at peace with, because you can't want it more than someone else, right? Can't want it more than someone else. Back of the deck energy, we have learning. Yeah. And there's also a lot of snakes in this card too, with Lord Shiva. Beautiful. All right. What other messages do we have for the chosen ones? What other messages? All right. This is all going to be happening very quickly too, within the span of a month, they're telling me. There's a lot that is coming out right now. There's a lot. All right, what is this false light? What is the false light? What is the false light? too many cards. Too many cards. All right. What is the false light? What is the false light? Yeah, we've got the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. So this false light is something that's going to seem like a very solid opportunity coming towards you. But in the center, it's going to be rotten. In the center of it all, it's going to be rotten. Rotten, rotten. What else? What else about the false light? What else about the false light? Yeah. Is this deck in reverse? This deck is in reverse. My bad. Hold on. Oh, it's not. We're good. All right. We've got the Seven of Swords in reverse. So what I'm getting out of this, they're going to be very sneaky, very, very, very much so strategic in how they're moving about. However, this is going to be more internal. This is something you're not going to see coming. You know, if you look at it, there's this cute little animal down here, but that motherfucker looks like he's going to bite you, right? It's the same idea here. They're watching you, hiding their own weapons, while letting the masses drive theirs into you. I'm getting a wolf in sheep's clothing that, yeah, they stir the masses up and turn others against you. Oh, shit. Strong communication, but for the wrong reasons. All right. Got the King of Cups in reverse. Well, Father of Cups in this deck. This is somebody who appears to have emotional mastery. Somebody who appears to have it all together, but somebody who is absolutely manipulative. This black swan on this card is also giving me images of oil spills. So the thing about oil, it's something that naturally occurs in the earth. However, when it gets onto living tissue, it causes problems, right? It weighs you down. It's toxic. The thing about that, though, is that oil can also be refined and repurposed into other things. That's what I'm getting out of this. They're like a crude oil. Oil that's been refined into petroleum jelly that you can use and even eat, but it's still going to do damage nonetheless. Yeah, we got the Ace of Swords in reverse as well. Wow, all reversals. And this deck is not even reversed. I shit you not. Look. Oh, yeah, in the back of the card's energy is Five of Cups. So, yeah, this is a person who uses their words irresponsibly. They might run a really nice picture. They've got a lot of... They seem like they've got everything going on for them. The world is all in color. However, if you look closer in the background, you'll see that there's darkness lurking behind those words, as well as a lot of conflict and a lot of negative energy just randomly being focused into the wrong things. And we've got the Five of Cups here. All right, yeah. So yeah, this false light, seeing a lot of emotional discontentment, emotional ruin. But this is how they want to make you feel. They want to make you feel like, you know, the glass is half empty, that nothing's good in life. These are people that want you to be fully dependent on them. Yeah, these are people that want you to be dependent on them so that you don't know which way is up without them. You know, they're the people that have your financial opportunities. They're the people that have your creative and social opportunities in their hands. And for now, you trust them, but right now you don't realize that they are yeah, you don't realize that they're actually in the back plotting your demise. They're watching you and everything that you do. All right. All right. So all right, spirits, what advice do you have for those dealing with the false light? We have the Star. All right, so the Star is a card that has to do with renewal after a time of really intense hardships. So the Star comes after the Tower. Typically, it's a woman refilling her cup in a pool. But what I'm really getting off of this is that you need to remember where you come from, remember who you are, and don't lose sight of it. Don't be afraid to gather with those who you know are from your same cluster because, you know, stars shine brighter together, right? Stars also shine the most in the midst of darkness, so don't be afraid. What other advice do you have? Yeah, so this was the back of the deck energy, but he really wanted to come out. I felt it. So we've also got the Son of Wands. This is also known as the Knight of Wands. All right. So to combat this false darkness, what I want you to do, or I'm sorry, not this false darkness, but this false light. We haven't gotten to false darkness yet. Hold fast to your convictions and act quickly. However, don't act impulsively. All right, use your charm, use your wits,